Hello, good morning everybody. Welcome in the next episode of Avenue Media Weekly. Today we're hosting Tomasz Rudolf, CEO of The Heart. It's a pleasure, thank you. I have a few questions about The Heart and the last 1 year and the next, few months and years ahead. First of all, I'd like to ask you about, at The Heart you gather dozens of business partners, right? Startups, corporations around The Heart. What is crucial in your opinion in building such a strong relationships between startups and corporations today?
Well, I think we were lucky to build this ecosystem because of the trustful relationships we've been building with each and every one. And we try to really see beyond what companies are doing right now and try to understand their goals and give value to them. And then if you really build win-win for both sides, then you start attracting more companies. And what we're also seeing is that building hubs like this, you need to think in building a platform. And just like an airport, the more connections you have, the more important the hub becomes, and it attracts further members. So actually, in our case, connecting corporates with startups, it's not just an individual service for the corporates to connect them with the startup ecosystem. It's actually connecting everybody with everybody. So corporations among each other in a hub that then attract the whole startup ecosystem.
Okay, so who is the true client of The Heart, as more of the corporate world or more the startup world in terms of relationships and the values that they both create?
In our case, it's very simple because our only client are the corporations. When we were thinking about connecting those two worlds, we were discussing different models. And obviously, there are different models in the world where some brokers take money from whatever side and try pushing startups to corporates or try getting startups for corporates. Some accelerators take shares in startups and then try to pitch them into corporations. Our model is very simple. We are on the corporate side. We are one single point of contact to the startup world. And we represent the interests of the corporate. We try to translate the needs to the startup ecosystem and then translate the capabilities of the startups for the corporate so that their job, just like a headhunter, is facilitates the job of hiring a candidate. We facilitate the job of defining who we really want by defining the brief. And then by scouting those startups and bringing them to the corporates on a pre-selected shortlist, we make the job of onboarding them easier.
So in the last 1 year, you've met like dozens of startups. Could you please
Probably every day.
Yeah. How many of them have you met, and what area of interest in terms of startups are the most promising one, or the most, creating the most value for the corporations that you...
We meet lots of startups, and our scouting team that has been growing massively this year obviously looks them even more than I do. I've been actually more focused on meeting corporates and meeting them every day as we were growing the hub. We meet lots of startups, and we are especially focused in clusters where we have more corporates. Initially, those first industries were financial services, retail, health tech, and right now, yesterday, we launched a big international program on real estate with JLL, EY, and Galamco. So we were going industry by industry and trying to open up to this ecosystem and bring that ecosystem closer to the startups that are disrupting.
Okay. How The Heart pivoted or maybe changed in their assumptions from the beginning, and where are you today? So how would you describe the business model of The Heart today as it was last year or the last few months? How it changed?
Well, when we started, you need to know that we were building the idea of The Heart as a connector of corporates with the startup world after almost 12 years of helping corporations innovate within our other company. And we were frustrated with how slow things move if you touch radically new business models in corporations, and if you want to start an internal startup within a corporation or build capabilities in new areas. So that was the starting point, and the initial idea how to solve that problem was, okay, our clients, some of them are starting corporate accelerators that more or less bring them closer to the startup ecosystem. They constantly show them new startups. So we were actually had a tagline that we are a corporate accelerator. We wanted to do it not just for one company, but for the whole corporate ecosystem, like as a sharing economy approach to having corporate accelerator. Actually, we weren't successful in that. We couldn't pitch the idea of setting up and sponsoring a startup startup kindergarten, as the corporates were referring to it, because they wanted really hands-on, real, ready-to-pilot, ready-to-implement solutions. And the two guys and a dog usually needed a year or 2 or 3 till they were contract ready for a big telecom or a bank. So we actually quite quickly learned that we need to find ways to add value to organizations immediately. And there was no better way for us to do it than to mirror what Unilever Foundry globally has been doing as one of the leaders in that space. And they used the pitch to pilot approach, where startups would apply for very specific challenges that corporates had, and they were all getting pilot money to test that technology and then scale if it works. And we used that approach afterwards as the way to approach the corporate startup relation building. So looking at late stage startups with a proven product and an idea of what they want to do, with a proof of concept that shows the value for the corporate of what this could give them. And then connecting those two worlds in that way. And this is working and scaling right now.
The idea slightly changed, but you're in the same core business as you planned starting the Heart, right?
Well, the purpose and mission is the same. We want to help the corporates survive the changes that are disrupting them. And we want to help the innovators within those corporates actually move faster. You can do it way better than being just alone. I think lone innovators will be gone innovators. And if you just try to do everything on your own, you'll be definitely slower. The Nokia example is if you create your own all apps yourself versus you open up a platform that's an ecosystem that everybody innovates on, and you're just the orchestrator of that ecosystem, you cannot win. I mean, there is lots of innovation potential always in an open ecosystem than in just a very closed environment where you need to innovate yourself. And that's what we're learning. Yeah.
What was your biggest surprise in the last 1 year from the beginning of the Heart? The biggest surprise, but I'd like to know about maybe some hard times or hard things for you in this relationships with them.
There is a lot of work that maybe we didn't plan for, but that's needed in helping corporations get ready for startups. Okay. It's not something that you can just do like that. You need to set up processes and structures and budgets.
But this is your claim, right? Ready for startups.
Yes, yes, and really building those muscles, those open innovation muscles, is something that you can sign up to a gym, like the Heart, and feel good about that, but that won't change your organization. Okay. You really need to get a personal trainer, get a schedule, and really start doing it, and get a rhythm of doing those open innovation projects, doing pilots, doing scalings, and so on. But also, more or less, change your diet and whatever. And the corporates need to put a team on the topic, give them a budget, purchasing processes, so that they can put a pilot quicker than 6 months, which is the average for the industry. That usually, even if you want to test the technology in a store for 5 days or 5 weeks, it usually takes companies or corporations over 6 months to purchase that, even if it's a small budget usually. So that was the big effort we weren't planning for, but we need to somehow do, and we try to do it within our corporate club. The surprise in our model that we haven't been planning for, but actually it ends up being one of the core elements of the Heart corporate innovation ecosystem, is actually connecting corporates with corporates. We are saying that big corporates have gravity, and if those two gravities collide, like two big corporates, or like a client MasterCard and connecting with, let's say, Carrefour, they have gravity that adds importance to those projects, but also creates huge potential of joint forces, joint ventures, joint scoutings, solving each other's problems. So we are an open innovation ecosystem that helps corporates connect with startups, but increasingly we are also connecting corporates with corporates, either multiple corporates in a cluster, which is our programs, or one corporate with one corporate to solve different challenges.
What is your biggest success in terms of being a CEO of the Heart, as the guru, the leader, and the CEO of this place?
I think there are two things that give me joy every day. One is the fact that we keep giving value to clients, and if we have success stories, like we see those successful matches and clients happy and renewing their subscription and saying we've helped them, that obviously is our purpose. And if we can add value to the startup and to the corporate side and solve innovation innovation problems. That's why we exist. The second part of joy is the amazing team we've built, and that keeps growing and amazes me how independent they are, how they take on new challenges. I think we've been building one of the best or biggest and fastest growing open innovation teams here in the region.
We have done a lot of content marketing together, like the Hard TV, and we are with you from the beginning. I like to know what's the real value for brands and in the corporations and for the startups in becoming a publisher of video and of content.
In an industry like ours, thought leadership is just you either do it, you share what you've learned, and you add value with your knowledge to the ecosystem. And in that way you become visible, you attract startups or corporates in our case. Without it, you're invisible. And obviously there are companies that can afford to be invisible, but those who can't afford that, I think just need to learn that skill.
So do you think it's easy for startups and corporations to share their knowledge? Because it's not so easy to share their tips and tricks and their knowledge to others because it's dangerous in terms of creating business.
I don't think it's dangerous. I think competition will always look at you, but if they just focus on only copying you, their products will look like your ass. I mean, they'll always look at your back, and you're thinking ahead. So I don't think sharing what you do or your lessons learned can be dangerous. Obviously, there are exceptions and patents, trade secrets that you don't share, but in general, sharing valuable knowledge is I think the way to build trustful relationships, build your personal brand, build your corporate brand, and just increase your impact.
What do you think will be the most exciting trends in tech and startup industry in the next year? What's the biggest challenges in the next 1 year? What do you think?
Well, I think that doesn't change that fast every year, so some topics will remain hot, like AI, automation, robotics, and I think especially in big corporations, there is still lots of things to be done in saving costs and increasing efficiency through automation of any more or less job to be done by employees or by customers. Topics like blockchain will obviously become more and more important, and hopefully we'll see some really business impact of those technologies starting to happen and appear and be more apparent. I personally still believe that one of the key things that we need to look at is how brands or big corporations become platforms for different value-added services that are personalized, based on data, and adding value to customers. So I think in terms of startups that are doing B2B, we'll be seeing more and more actually ecosystems of products and services that add value for customers, and corporations building value-added services ecosystems from the digital startup world around their brands, be it cars, fridges, or B2B companies.
What are the goals for you as the Heart in the next 1 year, going globally and going outside of Warsaw?
Well, we are launching in London in January. Our programs are already launched on an international level, and our real estate tech program is a great example where meetings will happen. The first one will be in London. We're planning also meetings in Dubai and other capitals. Our scouting team already works in London and other places all across Europe, scouting and supporting our clients. So we're already an international brand, but obviously it will be for us the really important year where we scale our operations across Europe and prepare for our dreams of also opening hubs in New York and Singapore. And obviously we have lots of stuff happening as well in the background with the team. So maybe even some additional new ventures around our business model. So this will be an exciting year.
Exciting year ahead of you.
If I look back at what has happened in this 1 year, it's amazing what can happen.
What can happen and what you've accomplished, right? That fast. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good luck with all your plans, and finger crossed for next good year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.